Another cool little bit of homelessness law is the council's duty to protect someone's property in cases where if they don't, that person's going to lose that property or it's going to become damaged. Now, it applies to people who are essentially eligible for assistance and are homeless or threatened with homelessness. So there's a number of different sections it would apply to people in that situation, but it would essentially kick in once you've made a homelessness application and it's kind of, it's been accepted that there's reason to believe you might be homeless. So it obviously applies to people who are in temporary accommodation. It applies to people who are in temporary accommodation still having had that main homelessness duty accepted, or they might have been found in priority need but intentionally homeless, so it kind of continue in those situations, and also for those who are in interim accommodation, so before that decision has been reached. But also, and I haven't seen this in my own work, so I'm just reading the kind of law into this really, it would apply to someone who is not triggered section 188, so there's no reason to believe they might be in priority needs, but they are still homeless nonetheless, so this duty would apply in those situations. And it's basically, it kicks in when, if the council doesn't step in, that person is going to lose that property or it's going to become damaged. So it's basically where the person doesn't have any other options. So they don't have they don't have money themselves to pay for storage. They don't have friends or family to kind of help them out. At that point, that's when the council's duty would kick in. And the way I can only talk about how it works in Bedford. I'm assuming it's going to be similar elsewhere in the country, but in Bedford, essentially they'll give you a loan, so they'll transport your belongings to a storage unit, or they might transport your belongings to your temporary accommodation unit, and then they'll pay for the storage if they need to, and they'll essentially do that as a loan. So you'll have to repay that at a reasonable rate, affordable rate. Now there's some small print within Chapter 20 of the Code of Guidance which kind of details at what point a council can end that duty if for example, a person loses contact. And there's some other bits and pieces that, if you're going to use this, you want to read up on. But the only other thing I'd say about this is you can use it quite an interesting way when you've got someone with pets. So lots of people get told by councils, they've got a dog, they love their dog, they're not going to separate with their dog. They go to a council and the first thing the council says is, really sorry, we can't possibly house you with your dog. Now, that isn't true. Councils are at liberty to find temporary accommodation where you can have a dog. It's well within their powers to do that. But if they're not going to house you with your pet, and you don't have anyone where that pet can go to, you don't have any friends or family that can look after that pet, then essentially the duty to protect your property will kick in, because legally speaking, your pet is your property. I know it's an animal, but it's not rather than a thing, but that's how it works. So we've certainly used it with councils where they've told the person, yeah, we can't do anything for you. There's no accommodation available there. You can have your dog with you. And you just simply say, okay, well, that's great. So you're going to have to go and find a kennel for this dog then, because that's the only other option for this pet. And at which point the council think, that's true, it's going to cost a lot more to do that. So let's go and actually find suitable accommodation for them. I remember a really crazy kind of situation where a client had a tarantula, which was at large in their flat. That's probably another story I won't go into here, but it would apply to any pets and not just dogs. But there's nothing stopping a council offering accommodation where you can have your pet with you. There's no legal, they kind of make out like they're legally impossible to do that, but it's nonsense. They can do. So yeah, I think that's all I want to say about the duty to protect someone's property. I think I've covered the main bases. As I say, Code of Guidance is your best friend. It's been recently updated, by the way, not in any major way, but just Google Homelessness Code of Guidance PDF and it'll be the first thing that comes up. If you find these videos useful, please do subscribe. Please do like the video. Put questions about the law in the chat. I haven't got capacity to offer support to people around the country. My casework is limited to Bedford Borough. So all I'll ever tell you is basically what I have to tell you is go find a competent support service in your area. That's the best thing I can say, really. But yeah, for everyone else, for professionals, I'm hoping that if you've got questions, you can put them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. And I'm trying to think what else you need to know about this. I don't think there is. I think that covers it, really. So yeah, stay tuned, stay subscribed for more videos like this. I hope this was useful. Bye-bye.